Good morning.
My name is Peter Mendoza, and I've been a person who has a job, who has had a disability all my life, and has experienced barriers for all my life around physical access, and I oppose the bill.
Thank you.
My name is Mark Vasquez, and I'm from Sacramento, and I oppose the bill.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Mary Zendejas, Executive Director for Professional Abilities Association. I oppose the bill, except for with the amendments, and I'm from Long Beach, California. And I just wanted to say, you know, businesses really need to have people in their mind so that people with disabilities are a before thought and not an afterthought. If people with, you know, business owners took that mentality on, I think that we wouldn't be facing, you know, lawsuits and stuff like that. So that we need to be a before thought. And in celebration of the ADA, this bill is very, very much hurtful for the 25th anniversary. The businesses have already had 25 years to catch up. 25 years. We've waited long enough.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Connie Arnold. I'm from Elk Grove, California. And other than the amendment for the tax credits, I'm opposed to this bill. But on a regular basis, although I live in Elk Grove, I travel in different areas of the state. And I've encountered barriers both locally and statewide. And there needs to be a larger discussion than bringing this back every year for these anti-ADA disabled access bills because somebody thinks there's too many lawsuits. The problem is the lawsuits will go away if the businesses were accessible. There is the end of litigation. Make your businesses accessible and there won't be any litigation. But that destroying litigation and our right to have access to an attorney who is compensated after they pay all their fees up front is a problem. We need access to resolve our enforcement ability of the law. It's guaranteed to us by the ADA, and it's guaranteed to us in our civil rights laws in California. And our right to damages, anybody should be entitled to damages when they've been discriminated against. So I want to give one example. I traveled in October down to Carlsbad. I signed up with Hilton's offer, I forget what it's called, but anyway, and I was supposed to stay at Marbrisa, which is a brand new hotel in Carlsbad, the Marbrisa Hotel and Resort, and it wasn't accessible. And they wanted me just to drop out, and then they were just going to refund my money. But I said no. I signed up. I'm staying in that area. I don't have time to look for another hotel, and they put me at a different hotel. And it was more accessible. There were still problems with access at that hotel, including the pool lift. And they didn't have one for the hot tub. And then they had a dead battery. And then the Marbrisa Hotel, their idea of a roll-in shower was a 3-inch step. It was a brand new hotel. So when I left the other hotel, which was across the street, I stopped by and I talked to the guy that heads it. And sure enough, the guy at the counter said, oh yeah, it's a 3-inch step. So what went wrong? Am I a code expert? Isn't our building officials supposed to catch these barriers before we get there? Why did they allow an occupancy permit to happen in a building that was brand new, that had a 3-inch step in a roll-in shower, and only had, 3 parking spaces out of a huge parking lot that had to have more? One parking space that was accessible was taken, and one was way far down. These are real legitimate problems that we face every day, finding accessible bathrooms. It's like beating your head on a wall. You know, I could tell you countless stories over the time of my life, and it's really frustrating. I hope one day that there's farther than a 2020 vision here where we actually have full and complete access around the world for people with disabilities, let alone California. Thank you.
Thank you. You raise good issues. We have a lot of people who would like to speak in a long hearing, so if everyone could please just tell us your position on the bill very briefly, whether you support or oppose, whether you support the amendments or not. Give us your name and identify your organization. Thank you.
Yes, Troy Plunkett with Concord Independent Living. I oppose the bill besides the tax credit. Thank you.
Thank you.
Curry Helmerson, Independent Living Resources, Fairfield, California. I oppose all bills that prolong fair, accessible access in all institutions, all businesses. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Rick Sharkey from Nevada City. I oppose the bill. Let me share a little insight with you, if I may, please. I'm a recently retired
I'm
banker.
sorry, we're really short on time.
Yes, sir, I understand.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jose Garcia from Huntington Park and also United States Marine. I completely oppose this bill.
Thank you.
Hello. Thanks. Good morning. My name is Roger Acuna. I live in Berkeley, California, and I do enjoy all the accessibility that my guide dog and I encounter on a daily basis, and would certainly it wouldn't be acceptable for an extension of any more barriers to ADA law. I do believe in tax incentive for small businesses, as it's very difficult for them to thrive. So I think the tax incentives would be efficient in this case.
Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Alicia Roundtree. I work with Independent Living Resources of Contra Costa and Solano counties, and I'm here as a staff and support advocate for persons with disabilities having equal and accessible access across the board in all of their communities. And I do support the bill with the amendment, and I'm definitely opposed that any continued or restricted barriers, it doesn't meet the need of the person served, and they're all part of this community.
Thank you.
And warrant access.
My name is Barry Atwood. I'm an accessibility consultant. And I'm opposed to this bill because in a very perverse way, it creates an incentive for noncompliance with the statutes. Because what happens in the real world is that buildings and the architect takes the design for a building through a building department, and then they don't build what's in the plans, and there's an incentive for them not to do that.
Right. Thank you, sir.
Hi, my name is Felipa de Leon. I'm from Watsonville, California, and I oppose, and I'm with Cecil.
Thank you.
I'm Jesus Chavez from Santa Cruz, California, and I'm opposed to the law. Thank you.
Thank you.
Justin Harford from Grass Valley, California. I am a citizen. I'm not a pedophile. I'm not a criminal or an extortionist. And because of the writer's insinuations to that effect, I oppose these bills even as amended. Thank you.
Janique Lee, Chico, California, also opposed for both disability rights and because it's a loss of revenue for people who have the businesses. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mark Ramoser, Silicon Valley Independent Living Center in San Jose. I firmly oppose the bill. I believe that the correct way to address the issue is through the legal community, through unethical behavior. And as to the anti-ADA speech, imagine the shock if
Thank you.
the assembly member had given such a speech attacking
I'm sorry, sir. Thank you. Next witness, please.
My name is Jose Ramirez, and I come from Salinas, California, and I oppose.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mi nombre es José Luis Díaz y represento al condado de Monterrey de Salinas, California. Me opongo a esa ley.
Thank you.
My name's Teresa Oliver, and I oppose the AB 54.
Thank you.
I'm Forrest Harlan from the Disability Action Center in Chico and Redding, California, and we oppose this bill, and we look forward to working with Mr. Gallagher and making a better bill for next year.
Thank you.
Yes, my name is Shiloh McNabb. I'm from Grass Valley, and a consumer with Freed, and I oppose this bill wholeheartedly.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Maria Magaña. I work for Central Coast Center for Independent Living, CECL, both counties, Monterey and Santa Cruz County, and we strongly oppose.
Thank you.
My name is George Sharp from Modesto, California, and I oppose the bill except for the tax credits. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Cheryl Hewitt from San Jose, California, and I oppose the bill.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Gwendolyn Butler. I'm from Fremont, California. I strongly oppose the bill except the tax credits. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Christine Fitzgerald from San Jose, California, Silicon Valley Independent Living Center. I oppose this bill except the tax credit. It's bad business all the way around.
Thank you.
My name is Michelle Mashburn. I'm from San Jose, California, and I'm realizing that you're currently silencing everybody because of time limitations, but I would like a minute to speak what I want to say.
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I can't allow that. Tell us your position on the bill. I would appreciate that.
Well, and I don't appreciate you silencing me, so I will file the appropriate complaints to do that. I oppose the bills as they stand.
Thank you. And you're very welcome to come talk to me about it. I'm happy to listen.
Good morning. My name is Ruthie Goldkorn. I'm on the Executive Committee, Legislative Committee of Californians for Disability Rights that stands in opposition to the bill. I'm the chair of the Disabilities Caucus for the Democratic Party. And although we haven't met, I guarantee you that we will be taking an opposed position. We do thank the Assemblywoman for the tax credits that we have been trying to push for many, many years. And it is extremely appropriate that we had such an incredible showing from the disability community under the watchful eyes of Jesse Unruh.
Thank you.
Hello, Dolores Tejada, Community Resources for Independent Living. I'm here representing thousands of people in our catchment area in Hayward and in southern Alameda County, and I'm here to say that I oppose this bill, and thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members. Kevin Baker for the American Civil Liberties Union of California. We thank the chair and the committee staff for their thoughtful work on this issue.
Thank you.
Henry Contreras with the California Foundation for Independent Living Centers, representing 28 independent living centers in California. We have an opposed position on the bill.
Thank you. Any other testimony in opposition? All right, seeing none, I'll bring it back to the committee. Questions, comments? Mr. Gallagher.
Well, I want to thank the author for bringing forward this bill, and I want to say to all the folks who came to show up, from the disability rights community, I certainly empathize with you and your comments on this issue. I grew up with two deaf brothers, and my parents fought throughout my young life and their young life to ensure that they had quality interpreters to access public education. So I understand access and fighting for that access, ensuring that you're not denied your civil rights because of a disability. But the current status of the law is not helping disabled persons, and it's not helping the businesses that have to comply right now. And I'll give you one example. My brothers and I, we used to go to a small country store in our small town. We'd go to the community pool, and after swimming, we'd go to this store every day to go get a soda, a candy bar, and we had a handicapped woman who lived in the area who would often go into that store, and when it was raining outside at times, she would go into that store, and the the kind-hearted man who ran that store would often, help this young lady, would be there for her. But just 2 weeks ago, this same man was hit with an ADA lawsuit, and he didn't get a chance to try and comply. He had an attorney asking for $18,000 as a settlement offer to release the lawsuit. All this bill does, very modest proposal, and it's very consistent with providing access, is to give that business owner 60 days to meet the requirements.
So that
rather than getting 18.
That provision has been.
I know that provision's been removed, but that's what everybody said they were so opposed to. This requires them to comply, rather than getting with $18,000 worth of damages paid to who? Who does that help? Does that help the disabled community? No, it doesn't. It enriches lawyers, attorneys who feed off of this system. And they are hoodwinking you, and they're abusing the system, and they're abusing all the people who are involved in this. And if anybody should be angry about this thing, we should be angry at those attorneys who are taking advantage of the system. And there's a serious problem we need to address together as a community to ensure that there is access, but also that this is done in a proper way so that we encourage compliance, not punish people, but we encourage compliance. And I think everybody can agree on that. I'm going to support the bill. I think that the bill as proposed was a very modest reform that would really help to bring a whole lot of people in compliance and would focus on compliance rather than penalizing people who are doing their very best. Thank you.
Mr. Wagner.
I'll be brief because the bill in front of us is a good bill. The bill prior to the amendments the author was forced to take, in my mind, was a great bill. We've had 25 years to comply with the ADA, we hear. All the lawsuits are just about parking and bathrooms, and inches matter, we hear. They do matter. What we don't hear, and what is the reality facing businesses in California, is that those inches change. Today, you've got to have a desk that is so many inches high, and you've got to have an aisle that is so many inches wide. And I represented a business owner who had the aisles wide enough until the rules changed. Inches matter, we're told. All right. Let's not keep changing the rules on businesses. We've had 25 years to comply, we hear. All right. Let's go back to what it was 25 years ago and make sure people are in compliance. But wait a minute. Wait a minute. The disabled community doesn't want that. They want changes. Maybe those changes are good things. I'm not contesting them. I am saying the old bill that everybody was so exercised about, to use a phrase we used in a bill earlier today, leveled the playing field. If inches matter, if 25 years of compliance matters, let's not keep changing the rules. We had a bill up in this committee a year ago, maybe two. A gentleman from one of the surrounding counties, I believe it was Placer, I don't remember for sure. He was the compliance officer. If you're a business in that county, you go to him and say, are my aisles wide enough? Are my ramps the right inclination? Is my desk tall enough? Does my bathroom comply? You go to him, and he testified in favor of the bill that was very much like the one that was gutted, because he said, I can't keep up with the changes in the law, because they aren't 25 years old. They are yesterday's changes, or they're changes from a year ago. And he was himself in a wheelchair, saying he cannot keep up. The bill isn't in front of us anymore. The author had to take the amendments, but we need to be honest about what's going on here. There are lawyers out there who are abusing the disabled, and that's what this bill was trying to stop. And I certainly hope, as one of the witnesses said, Mr. Gallagher tries again next year, or Ms. Olson tries again next year, or maybe I try again next year. But this is a fight that needs to be fought. It's a fight for business, and it's a fight for the disabled rights community that is getting ripped off, embarrassed, and abused by the lawyers. I applaud your effort. I urge you to try it again next year, and I will certainly move the bill as amended.
So we do have a motion and a second on the bill. And any other questions from committee members? Because this bill and others had come to my committee, I have met with all the stakeholders and had quite a long and exhaustive set of conversations around these bills. And we do get caught up in the concerns. I think 54% of the lawsuits are to law firms in the state of California. There's an interest that is not serving the disability community, because in a lot of those cases, the repairs that give access aren't the subject matter of the lawsuit, really, or there's no outcome that's intended to be measured. But we have to separate from that legitimate lawsuits that are there, because we don't have any other agency or anybody else enforcing it. It is left to the disability community and their attorneys. It's left to the civil justice system to enforce the ADA laws in California. And that system means that the disabled who are out there and their attorneys are the ones who have to be vigilant, have to go file the lawsuits. And there are lots of legitimate lawsuits that are around actual violations of the ADA laws that we have in California. And finding a mechanism to discourage the offensive, and I think everybody agrees, including the disability community that I've talked to, the offensive behavior by a few attorneys is what we should be talking about. But a lot of the bills, a lot of what's been proposed would also allow for non-compliant situations that are not what we're talking about, that are legitimately being addressed and tried to be enforced, would sweep them aside. And I don't think that those are the right ways to do it. This bill now giving a mechanism for a business owner to encourage them to go get a CASP inspection, to go make sure that they are compliant, I think is a step in the right direction. It gives that amount of relief to a business owner, but still we keep intact the enforcement mechanism that the state of California has put into place. So thank you, and thank you for taking the amendments. We do have a motion. We do have a second. If you could. Oh, please close.
I recognize we're running short on time, but in light of all the comments that were made, I think it's appropriate for me to make some closing remarks. Appreciate the comments from the dais as well. I want to start by saying thank you to the committee for working with me on moving the bill forward in some way that at least moves us in the right direction. Really appreciate your hard work on that. I also want to remind the committee, moving back to the original form that the bill was proposed in, that this is a wide bipartisan effort. We have over 30 co-authors from up and down the state, a very long support list. Dozens of newspapers across California have editorialized about the need for these kind of reforms. I support the ADA. The ADA has done some very good work in our communities. I'm an aunt of a severely disabled niece who has better access to facilities because of the ADA. This is not about not supporting the Americans with Disabilities Act. This is about not supporting the abuse of the ADA that makes a mockery of people in the disabled community. And that's what we should, all of us together, be working on stopping. 2 years ago, this legislature and this committee worked very well together to try to pass reforms that would curb frivolous lawsuits related to the ADA. At that time, everyone agreed there was a problem. That is now law. It was reform as a good step, but we've clearly seen it's not working. We have more to do in order to increase access for the disabled community, to protect small business owners from these frivolous lawsuits and predatory attorneys. We had one gentleman say he opposes all bills that delay access. If that's the case, they should be supporting AB 54, because AB 54 will quicken access, because businesses will have 60 days to come into compliance with a standard that they didn't even know existed, and now they'll have 60 days to comply with that standard instead of spending money lining the pockets of greedy attorneys.
And Ms. Olson,
what we have now is not working.
Can we talk about the bill that's in
Will,
front of
but
us?
I need to address the comments that were brought up because many of them were inaccurate characterizations. So again, the fact that 40% of ADA lawsuits are filed in California when only 12% of the disabled community lives here shows we have a problem. We all have to work together to solve it. Businesses want to comply, and I'm so happy that the amendments help them to be able to do so. $250 is better than nothing to be able to identify what's changed in the last 3 years in particular that they're now out of compliance with. I echo the colleagues that were made that we're not talking about 25 years to comply. We're talking about a continually changing set of building codes that businesses have to be able to come into compliance with, but in order to come into compliance, they have to know their standards to begin with. And it's hard for these small businesses to keep up with those changes because they're constantly taking place. So all we were saying is let's give them 60 days to be able to do that. They have their own vested interest in making sure that their facilities are open to all members of the community. That's a win-win for everyone. And then finally, I wanted to address, since 3 different people brought it up, the facts of the Arizona pedophile that's filing these lawsuits and lining his own pockets. That's a fact that's been well documented in newspapers and media stories for years. That's not an outrageous, sensational statement. That's a fact. And that's an example of why we, as members of the legislature, as members of the disabled community, as members of the legal profession, should be working together to stop those abuses. Because while we're lining the pockets of those types of people, it gives people in the disabled community, people in the business community, people all over our communities a bad name. And we should all stand together in crying against that. So again, appreciate the committee's work in finding a way that we could move forward. The tax credit is a great step in the right direction, but it's really just a step if we care about increasing access for the disabled communities and if we care about keeping the jobs open that people rely on in our communities. With that, I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you. Call the roll, please.
Stone?
Aye.
Stone, aye. Wagner? Aye. Wagner, aye. Alejo? Aye. Alejo, aye. Chow? Aye. Chow, aye. Chu? Gallagher? Aye. Gallagher, aye. Garcia? Aye. Garcia, aye. Holden? Aye. Holden, aye. Mainshine? Mainshine, aye. O'Donnell? Aye. O'Donnell, aye.
Your bill is out. Thank you. We now move to item number 3, AB 1342, Mr. Steinorth.